Welcome to this week's podcast with Maddy. So we're going to get into why this is a special podcast for me, right? As it pertains to Beacon and me personally, with my goal, or our goal at Beacon Recovery, as to why this is kind of a cool podcast for us, right? So what we want to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to ask you to go back. When was your first experience with whatever, alcohol, drugs, whatever it was? What was your first recollection of it?
Yeah, so I was 9 years old. My parents had already been divorced at this point, and I was the bartender at both places. So it was beer me, beer me, beer me. And when you serve people and they're happy, you know, it does something for you. And I wanted to feel happy like they were feeling happy because I was sad then. And so I decided to take my first beer, and I went out front and I drank it.
Did you like the way it tasted?
No, I did not.
Because beer kind of tastes not good, right?
It's an acquired thing for sure. But no, I didn't like it. But I was also like sad when it was gone because I wasn't like as happy as everybody else was around me.
So your expectations weren't met from
the
downing that first beer. But at the age of 9, you didn't catch a buzz at all? Mm-mm. You're lush.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be a cheap date growing up.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about the first time you actually did catch a buzz, get drunk, whatever you want to call it. Was it beer? Was this no? Let's talk about that.
No, it was whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah. Me and my friend had stolen a bottle from her dad's cabinet, and we got blackout drunk. My first
woke
drunk
up and said,
was,
"What train hit me?" kind of thing.
Yeah, and then it was like, "Oh no, we're gonna get in trouble." So we watered it down
because we drank so much of the. Yeah.
And he was gonna be pissed, so we watered it down and put it back in the liquor cabinet, thinking, "Oh, we got away with it. We're so smart." And then I started planning our next drink.
Now you like it.
I got to the desired
Even though,
effect of
well, hold on a
oblivion.
sec, because I've had blackouts, and I only remember snippets and bits and pieces. Was it the same for you as well?
Yeah. I mean, I was 13. We were listening to music. We were dancing and being silly and dumb. And the next thing I knew, I was waking up the next morning and my head hurt and I didn't feel good. But I was like, that was fun. And I want to do that again.
Because now I was what I perceived in my parents before, happy.
Yeah.
This was at 13, you said, or 14? 13?
Yeah.
So how did you continue to go down your drug career? I call it a career because it kind of takes over.
Right. Yeah. So for my 13th birthday, part of my present from somebody was marijuana.
Wait. Your 13th birthday.
It was happy birthday, Maddy. I have a present for you.
So this first time we're talking about wasn't just the whiskey that you eventually watered down. It was also marijuana. Oh, we're not messing around.
Yeah. So then from then on, like when I figured out both, we had quite a good little setup where I'd start walking to my friend's house and her dad would see me walking and say, "You coming over?" And I say, "Yeah." And so I would bring over all the marijuana. I'd bring all the pot over and we would go to the liquor store, pick up a bottle of whiskey for him and for us, go back to their house and he'd go do whatever. And we would go in the room and smoke pot and drink every weekend.
Every weekend.
Every weekend.
And this goes on for?
For a while. I started drinking at school.
Sneaking? A bottle in your locker, and you're just like getting a nip here and there?
Yeah, I mean, then you could take your backpacks from class to class too. So then I started sloughing. Like, why even go? So I mean, it was really bad. And then like things just kept progressing. Home life was not good. I was around a lot of gang activity. And so as much as like that group progressed, I progressed.
Gang activity. Like stealing stuff from police places or breaking window? I mean, what does that
Drugs,
mean?
guns.
And
the
how old are you?
It started when I was 13. Yeah. I never was a part of their gang, but I got to witness a lot of their activities. And then as they progressed on, we went to coke and crack, and they taught me how to rock that up and smoke it. And, I mean, it just kept going and going and going. And then when meth got involved,
How old?
oh gosh, at that time I was about 15.
So you graduated pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, I escalated. I did not like being told that I was just a girl. Like, I will show you how girly. I will outdrink every guy around me. I will outsmoke everybody around me. And it kind of became a game of like,
You showing how
Yeah.
big, bad, and tough
Yeah.
you are.
so, yeah, when they started doing meth, I mean, every time I did a drug, I watched them for about 2 weeks. I would make an educated decision to use. So I was never peer pressured. I was never held against my will on those things. I made those choices.
Yeah.
When it came to meth, I was like, no, I don't want that. Keep it away from me. The people that I've been watching have turned into people I don't recognize, and I don't like that. I don't want that.
You mean the toothless wonders that they are thing?
I
or-
mean, I mean, with any level of, drug use, there's lying, stealing, cheating, manipulating, right? But like things just escalated into more violence and more just soullessness, really. Like they're losing themselves. And I wasn't ready for that. I didn't want that. Where I was at, there was meth lab in the house. So I got high for the first time, and I was pissed. I was absolutely pissed because...
Wait. Meth lab in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered what those are. Is that like a guy wearing yellow gloves with a wife beater with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth? I mean,
No.
Is it in a sink or is it like on a stove? Are they cooking it on a stove?
It was downstairs. I didn't look at the whole nitty gritty setup
You just
of
knew what
it.
it was.
I knew how I felt. I knew.
What do you mean? How you felt knowing that there was a meth lab in the house?
No, physically how I felt. I was really high, and when I come out and I saw the other people in the house that were not using substances in the middle of the night, like my mom was cleaning the floor, and like my little brother was awake playing with his little guys,
Wait,
his toys.
This meth lab in the house wasn't your house.
It was where I grew up. Yes.
Wait, so there's a meth lab in the house that I'm thinking meth lab and some of these friends, the gang. This was in your home?
This was in my home.
A relative obviously
Yeah.
was doing this?
Yeah.
Did your mom and your dad know this was happening?
No. Like no,
What?
I was the gatekeeper. So like when the cops showed up, I would go meet them at the door, and poor
Sweet,
little me, I'm
innocent
so
little Maddy.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what are you talking about right now? And I would get them distracted long enough for people to hop the fences and run, and
gather up all their stuff for being a
and
meth
go.
lab.
And go. When I found out there was a meth lab in the house, it escalated quite quickly because I was the only girl growing up. So,
Yeah.
mess around, fuck around, and I'm going to throw down with you, right? So
funny.
there was some fights.
So you're getting meth for free.
Oh, everything I did was free. I never put a dime on anything. I'd be up doing the dishes, and people would come up and be like, "Hey, Maddy, you want to get high? Like, let me finish these dishes real quick, and I'll meet you downstairs." Like, it was given
pass
to
the
me.
butter. Like
Yeah.
we're having, where's the salt? I mean, that's,
And my mom, she worked. She was trying to take care of us all and make sure the lights were on. Like, she didn't know what was going on in that
By the
house.
way, on a side note, I've met Maddie's mother, right? To say that you will not meet, I don't know, a more authentic, genuine, right?
Yeah.
Good people, Maddie's mom, right? And we're going to fast forward for a minute since we're talking about your mom.
Yeah.
She never wavered with you, did she?
No, I mean, when I was 16, I moved out. I couldn't handle that lifestyle anymore, what was going on. And I moved in with my dad. And I was so mad at her for not knowing
That there was a meth lab
that
in her home?
there was so many different things that was happening in that house.
This
like,
woman that's working probably one
Yeah.
or two jobs to support you?
Right. But I was a teenager and I was high and I was selfish and I did not, like, it was her fault, right? Like, how could that possibly be my fault? It was her fault. And so I got really mad and I left and I didn't talk to my mom for 2 years.
This would be a classic case of dumbassery.
Yeah.
Kinda, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you move in with your father, right? No more drugs?
Yeah. No, not in the house. I left every time I did anything. By that point, I limited it to.
Did he know your dad? Did he know you were?
Yes and no. He's not dumb, but like for my 16th birthday, it was a cake in a bottle, and it was like, this is how we deal with stuff. So I was like, score.
Wait, a cake in a bottle from the old man?
Yeah, it was like, score. Like, I figured out how to deal with life already. Like, I didn't need you to teach me that. Like, good for me, right?
See, I always thought cake and milk went well, but
Yeah.
no,
it
not with you.
That was my 16th birthday. Like, welcome.
So now, this is good times for
Yeah.
Maddy, right?
Yeah.
When did it stop?
Oh, I was 32. Yeah.
Wait. So you're living the high life.
No, I thought it was high life. Yeah.
I know, but it was the high life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality you had. You're not paying for anything. I don't care what it is. You're not paying for anything. I'm thinking that you're smart enough to where you're not having to sell yourself like so
Nope.
many people do. It's just happening because you
Nope.
know that's what's going on because you're
Yeah.
around it. And if there's other girls doing all kinds of weird, stupid stuff,
Oh, yeah.
You
There was
probably
a girl
saw
that
it.
lived. There was a girl that lived behind us that they would hop the fence and take turns with her. And that's stuff that I like. Being the only girl in that house, like, I knew what those guys were thinking. There was no way
it's not happening.
they were touching me.
However, you still got all your stuff, regardless of
did.
well, you probably could have got anything you wanted and not paid for anything. So
I did.
you're living the high life, and I'm saying that thinking, there's a beer out there, the high life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's legit. That's really
Yeah.
is because that's the world. You're at the time. This life doesn't get any better. For 14 to 32. That's damn. What 14, 32? What is that? 20.
It was
14,
13.
24, 34. That's 18 years-ish.
Yeah.
And now you're at 32. I know I should have known, right? Without going over it in my head. But yeah. Anyways, 18 years. Now at 32, what happened?
So I'm married at this time. I have 2 kids.
Whoa. You're married and have 2 kids. So you meet your husband, right? This is the guy that I know,
Yeah.
right? He's a partier too.
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you guys met? Okay.
That's exactly how we met.
At a
I
party.
met him right before I moved in with my dad. So I had met him when I was about 15. And I was like, nope.
Are you guys the same age?
Nope. No, he's 3 years older than me. We
Oh.
didn't start dating for much longer, much to like, yeah, he tried for years. And I was like, nah.
By the way, good guy.
Yeah. No,
Really,
he's
really
amazing.
good man. He's a good person, right?
Yeah.
He really is.
He is.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So, so you guys meet, partying.
Yep.
He's probably thinking, oh, and you're like, eh,
Yeah.
right? And at some point you're like, okay. And then you guys start dating,
Yeah.
partying,
Yep.
get married, partying,
Oh, we didn't get married much later.
but you're together.
Yeah. So we started dating at 18. We had our daughter when I was 19. And I
Partying
didn't
the whole
get-
time?
Oh, yeah. Well, I remained sober when I was pregnant with my daughter.
So there is some sense of
Yeah.
smarts in there someplace, right?
Yeah. Much to, like, we lived in a party house. We called it the frat house because the only furniture we had was a pool table upstairs. Like, that's where we went.
That's all you need, baby, right?
That and a dartboard. Like, we were happy.
Place to put your drink.
But I stayed sober. We had her, and then I stayed sober for another 3 months, and then I just was like, no, not anymore. So I started drinking again. We got married. Sadie was 4 when we got married. I was very much like, no one's going to tell me my whole life, no one's going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want in my time frame. He kept asking me, and I was like, no, just because we have a kid don't mean I have to marry you. And by the time Sadie was 4, we got married.
So I have to just interject something real quick. your current place of employment, that must be kind of hard for you being told what to do by your boss, because you have a boss right now, right?
I do.
Is that hard for you to be told what to do? Because
I've grown quite a bit in my life.
so you're okay with being told what to do? You must
It
have.
depends on what it is.
Your boss must be pretty cool, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so nobody's going to tell you have your first child partying, but you stopped. Then did you have your son, right?
Yep, I have
Planned?
my son. No, both of them were not planned, but loved very dearly.
Yeah.
But no, like we were drinking, we were partying, it never stopped. Things got crazy. It was, let's see, I was probably about 29 when things started getting really, really bad. Really bad. Cody, my husband's 3 years older than me, and it was shot for shot and blow for blow. Like, I was never a damsel in distress. So when I talk about me and my husband and our drinking and our fighting, I was not a damsel. Like, a lot of women will play the poor victim card.
The victim, yeah.
No, I was not. I would egg on fights sometimes, just, and we would drink shot for shot. And when things got crazy, we put our hands on each other. It wasn't good. It was not
almost
good.
like brother-sister stuff.
I mean, kind of, but it was.
In reference to
it was worse.
Fighting.
It got bad.
Is it this point that you start to realize, whoa, this isn't working?
No, it was his fault, right? Like, no, I can control my drinking, like, but he can't, right?
Says every person with an addiction. I can stop whenever I want. Did you ever say that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm not the problem, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They being everybody else.
Everyone else has got a problem.
It's not me.
Yeah, if you just do as I say, and as I say, we're all going to be fine. Like, it was so bad. We ended up moving to Tooele, and when I was 31, and then we made it out there almost a year, and I caught a felony. I was very intoxicated. My husband had we'd been in and out of hospitals. He had, he was on his journey, and I won't get too much into his, but like on mine, like I ended up having pancreatitis, and I kept drinking, and
because of the fact that you were drinking so much,
and I didn't care. I'd get out of the hospital and drink more. I was sick. My body was failing. Yeah,
but hold on a sec. Moreover, there was something else that was sick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your body was physically ill.
Yeah,
but there was some trauma.
Oh,
that's what's going on. I mean, the body being sick is just a manifestation of all the alcohol that you've been consuming over the years and how you've been abusing your body. But you and I both know that the real sickness wasn't physical.
No.
Agreed?
It was mental and spiritual. I had
Which is the way it always is.
Yeah, absolutely. But I got to a point where I slept with a bottle next to my bed. I couldn't drink anymore, and I couldn't drink any less. And I mean that literally. Like, if I stopped drinking, I would start going into detox. And when I detox, it's not like a 3-day and you're feel much better. It's day 5, I'm in the hospital having seizures. So
this is 2-3 o'clock in the morning, taking a couple jugs and then going back to sleep.
Yep. Yeah, I had a big problem. So
for any of you that are out there, there's a lot of people out there that are doing this very thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to just keep it together. I was like, I got to get my kid to school. I've got to drink to be able to function, to get her to school. I can't stop. Like, it was, because if I stopped, then who was going to get her to school? And I would be in the hospital having seizures. Are
you recognizing at this moment, I got a problem? This is not good?
Yes and no, because I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know what that looked like.
This is all you knew, though. So you didn't, I mean, this was just the way it is.
Yeah.
So there's no problem because, well, this is just the way it is.
Yeah. So God did for me what I couldn't do for myself, and he put me in jail.
I've said that before. Jail and or prison might very well save literally somebody's life. So you're in jail. Did they put you, because alcohol, if you don't know this, you can be taking heroin, meth, fentanyl, and you can detox from those substances, and you detox in varying ways. But alcohol when you're drinking as much as you were, you can actually, die.
Yeah.
So did you have to go through detox when you were in jail, or did they just throw you in jail and that's just...
No, I woke up cuffed to a hospital bed, not knowing how I got there.
So now the passing out like it was when you described earlier is not the same. This one's like, oh shit, whoa.
Yeah. And I was terrified. I didn't know where my kids were. I didn't know what happened. Nobody would talk to me. I detoxed. They took me into the jail, and I went straight to Max.
Wait, so you detoxed in the hospital? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. And because it was really that
So you're there,
serious.
3 to 5, 7 days-ish?
Yep.
Okay.
And then right to Max.
When you say max, this is like maximum
security.
jail?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're on a 23-hour lockdown. You get an hour out to walk around, make a phone call, shower, order anything off commissary. We didn't have tablets back then. You were on a 23-hour lockdown, and
I'm just trying to visualize what that must have been like. Trying to figure out what's going on with your children, where your husband is, right?
yeah,
That had to have been, kind of like hell, right?
it was. I was terrified.
And how long were you in Max?
After my I went in front of the judge, and that's when I found out what I had done.
Is this in Thule?
Yeah, in Tooele, yeah.
She calls it's
A
spelled
Thule.
Thule. Just
Yeah.
for those of you that aren't in Utah, these people have some weird names, or the way they say the names of their cities. It's spelled Thule, but she calls it Tooele, although there's no A at the end. Just a sidebar. Right? I mean, okay, so you're in Tooele, right? And at some point you get out.
Yeah, no, I was in Max, and I was sad, and I was so done. I was done. I finally just said I want something different, so I
So
picked
wait.
up.
Before you go in,
Yeah,
this is just the way it is.
yeah,
And this is just the way it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm wanting to get to that point where there it is. There's the blank where
Yep.
you say, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
This is when you're in jail thinking, wait, this doesn't work. This
Yeah.
that's okay.
yeah.
Now you get out of jail, and now you're saying, like so many of us, I never went to jail for this, but there's a lot of you out there that did and are,
And-
right?
yeah.
Might be in jail listening to this conversation that we're having right now. That was your moment when you said,
Yeah.
enough.
Yep.
Now you get out, and you're really going to stop.
Well, I called my mom and I said, Mom, I need help.
From
which
jail?
I've never done.
From
Yes,
jail?
From the jail.
Okay.
Which I've never done. I don't ask for help. Maddy wants something. Maddy does it herself, right? I'm very into my ego and my pride and that. But I humbled myself and I called my mom. My mom got me into the women's retreat house, and I got out of jail and I went into residential. It's a 12-step program for women. And I was scared even going in there because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what the 12 steps even was at that point. But I went in and my mom looked at me like, please don't run. Please don't run. And
That she was dropping you off or taking you there?
Yeah.
Don't. Because she knows her kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was scared because they took me in to wait, and it was in a chapel, and I'd never set foot in a
Is
chapel.
that the old one that's behind that school? Uh-huh. Remember?
Yeah.
Behind like a high school or something back in the day? Like an
Yeah.
old building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be an old nunnery.
Yeah, I remember. I've been
Yeah.
there a couple of times for a couple of meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I found a bunch of women that taught me how to be a mom, taught me how to be a wife.
Are you still married
I am.
at this moment?
Yes.
Not like right now, but then.
Yes.
Okay.
We had started our 3-year separation.
Oh, so you're married, but you're not together.
No.
And where are your kids at this moment? When
They're with my mom.
had you lost custody? Or your mom was just-
DCFS was involved.
So wasn't your mom just doing you a solid? You had pretty much lost custody of your kids
You're right. Well, it was both. My mom did do a solid so that my kids could stay with
in the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your husband's gone.
Yep.
And now-
He's couch surfing. He's drinking. He's doing his thing. We're separated. I'm seeking recovery.
And he isn't.
No.
So you're thinking, because that's what they're going to tell you. That's what we're going to say. You got to get new friends.
Mm-hmm.
If your friends, right, aren't on the same page with your
Yeah.
recovery, then
Yeah.
And
They told me to get a divorce. They told me to leave him. They told, all these things. And, man, I love that man so much. And I was like, I know, but
he's a really good dude.
like I was struggling with, can we make this work or can we not? And then I started making that self-delusion, right? Like, I'm going to get sober, he's going to see me get sober, and then he's going to want to get sober.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're going to be happily ever after.
Yeah.
And that delusion,
Well,
right?
there's a story right there.
And when I got done with the retreat house, I did good for a little bit.
How long did that last?
I was in for 3 months. I was in there for 3 months.
Okay.
And a few months later, I was like, you know what? I'm okay. Like, I stopped. I don't know what happened. I ended up at the liquor store and I just want to take the edge off. And then I ended up leaving with a leader and getting fucked up. After I relapsed, I did. My stepdad called my probation officer, Clay, and Clay came to the house and arrested me. I was on a zero tolerance.
This isn't in Thule. This is
in Brigham City.
This is in Brigham City. So you're now in the Brigham area.
Yep.
Clay.
Yeah. So he came, he found me. I was on zero tolerance. So in my brain, I was like, okay, so I have like 3 more chances. Like, I can talk myself into like 3 more chances.
He arrested you?
He did.
Now you're in Box Elder.
He's like, yeah, you don't get 3 chances, Maddy. You're on zero tolerance. You're done. So he took me to the Box Elder jail and booked me in there. He was like, I'm not messing with you. I'm going to recommend prison. And I cried. I was so scared.
So let's just take a brief minute and talk about Clay. Okay. Does it get any better?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't say that then, right? But looking back.
No, I hated Clay back then.
I know.
I did not like him at all.
I know.
Because how dare he hold me accountable? How dare he take me to jail?
Dang it. Gotta hate when that happens,
Yeah.
right? But at the end of the day, he kind of was influential with, saving your life.
Absolutely.
Right?
So the Box Elder County Jail was not, I had seen Clay that day, and Clay's like, I'm recommending you for prison. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting in there and they say, Les, roll up. And I was like, what? Like, that was fast transport, because that means I'm going back to Twila. And they released me. I'm like, you're not supposed to release me. And they're like, don't talk back, get your shit and get out. And I was like, okay. So I leave, and then I walk from there to my mom's house, and I waited until I knew Clay wasn't working, because I knew he'd rearrest me. And I called him and let him know that they had released me. And he was like, get your ass back there. Do not make me come find you again. And I was like, all right, look, like, let me get some of my affairs in order, and I will go turn myself in. And I did. And it was peach days that weekend, and me and the kids went and we had ice cream and we was in the movies, and we had a lot of fun. And that following Monday, my mom took me and the kids and drove me to Twila, and I waited 2.5 hours.
Twila or Brigham?
No,
Box Elder.
to Twila, because my charges were out there, so they were going to transport me.
Okay.
And I didn't want to come out here to be transported. So we drove out there, and I waited 2.5 hours to be arrested.
I'm thinking about that drive.
Oh, I wanted to jump out on the freeway so many times.
With your kids and your mom.
Yeah. But we got there, and I asked them not to cuff me in front of the kids, and that's protocol. So I looked at my kids and I said, we own our achievements like we own our mistakes. And I made a mistake, and I drank again, and Mom's going to go away for a little while.
This is relapse number 1.
This was my only relapse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many times did Clay arrest you?
So he arrested me the one time. There wasn't, I had to think about this, because there was another time where I was like thinking he was going to arrest me, and like he should have arrested me. But I don't know.
And this is all after this is after the women's retreat house.
Yes.
Okay. Which, by the way, we're going to get to that in a sec, because you still have a lot of involvement with that place.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you can still go there.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not in that same old church. They moved. Okay.
Yes.
So now we're going to fast forward. Okay? So I'm here at Beacon Recovery. And I go over to adult probation to let those folks know that there's a place here. And I invite those probation officers to come tour Beacon Recovery, of which Clay was one up. Now, at that moment, Clay is getting ready to retire. But when he comes here, he recognizes what Beacon Recovery is. And within, I think it was the next day, he made some excuse up. He forgot to give me his business card, right, and asks me if he can volunteer here because he's got his little program. Remember we put the tape up on the walls? Remember
Yes.
that?
Yeah, I
I'd walk
do.
in and see all this tape. I'm like, what in the world? But it
worked.
It worked, yeah. To this day, I don't know what that tape, what he was doing, right? And so I said to Clay, I need somebody. I need somebody to do some peer support, right, for us. And he says to me, I think I know. He actually had two people that he had. I don't know if you know who the other person was. You do?
Yeah.
And then he went. So earlier when I made reference to Maddy's boss must being a really good guy. I mean, he must be a really good guy. So he went, and you're working at 7-Eleven, thinking this is it. This is the pinnacle of Maddy's career,
Yeah.
right? And approaches you and I talk, you get hired at
Yeah.
Beacon Recovery as peer support.
Yep.
Now, just real quick, we won't go in between. Well, let's just go briefly, right? Peer support. You went from peer support. And by the way, how long have you been working with me? Because she doesn't work for me. We are a team. Yes, I own Beacon, but it's not like that. You know that.
Yeah.
So how long have you been here?
It'll be 4 years in July.
Feels like 20. Oh, I'm just kidding. No, it doesn't feel like 4 years, I don't think, to me. So, so you started off as peer support, which you were probably thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. I've reached the pinnacle of this is right. Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you were thinking? Because you didn't even think you could be, who would want you to work at 7-Eleven? Because of
Right.
course you've got this checkered past. You're an addict, been
Yeah.
in jail, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So you take a job as peer support, then you go from peer support to, is that when you?
Well, yeah, I did some case management.
Okay.
And I became the lead for support staff lead. So I was making sure everybody was doing what they needed to do in case and peer, and I was doing the schedule then.
So that's all, so you're doing,
Yeah.
okay. Then, at some point, you were offered the job you currently hold. And what job is that?
I'm the executive director.
Ooh, pardon me. What does that mean?
That means that I make sure that Beacon is running as smoothly as possible.
I know what it meant. I just wanted them to hear what
Yeah.
you thought it meant, which is pretty much running Beacon Recovery in my stead.
Yeah.
So the job that I used to do, Maddy is now doing, which is running Beacon Recovery and doing quite good, I might add. Didn't you just get a pay raise? You
I
did,
did.
right? Yeah. Once again, she's got such a groovy boss, and no ego in her boss at all. So now, my fidget. So now, you hold on. I want to go back because this speaks to where Maddy is and where her heart is. You're running the sober livings as well.
Yeah.
We have several sober livings. Back then we only had 2. Now we have 3. But back then, and that means that you are overseeing all of the individuals. We have a men's and a women's house, and you at the time were overseeing that as well.
Yes.
Right, making sure that the cameras are where they're supposed to be, and people
Yeah.
aren't breaking curfew. Basically, making sure that the people that are in the sober living, if somebody relapses, making sure that the consequences are adhered to, right? But then you take this job as,
Yep.
what was it again? Executive director? Yeah.
Yep.
So you take this job, and at some point I come to you and I'm like, and by the way, that job running the sober livings requires you have a separate cell phone to keep tabs on these individuals.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And I come to you and I say to you, those have got to go elsewhere.
Yep.
And what was your response?
I was really upset. I cried. I thought that meant that I couldn't have interactions with the people we serve anymore, and that I was getting farther and farther away from them, and that scared me. Cause
So those weren't tears of joy.
no,
Were you happy with me at that moment?
no. I made sure, and you knew that. Yeah, no, I was not.
That's kind of why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Right? You were actually, you were not, you were like pissed, like royally. So
Yeah.
much so you were, well, crying.
Yeah.
That's how upset you were with me.
Yeah,
Right? But I was, well, kind of right.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of. because, well, what you're doing now, what she does now is quite impressive. And you still have interactions with these people, but not in the same capacity.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to close with this. I want you to look into the camera, right? And I want you to talk to somebody. I don't know who it is.
Okay.
I'm thinking that it's some young lady somewhere, right? And she is, it's at a certain point of where your journey, I don't know what she's in, she might be in one stage of the journey.
Yeah.
She might be the 14-year-old having, or the 13-year-old having the first drink.
Yeah.
And she's heard your entire progression. She might be in the middle of her high life, right? She might be sitting in a jail cell. She's somewhere on her journey, right? I want you to talk to her and tell her your thoughts on where you are now. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're listening to this, and I mean, there's no magic words, right? Your journey matters. You matter. Wherever it is that you're at right now, it's not the end. It doesn't have to be. It took me so long to realize my self-worth and my value that I could actually give to the world. And when I've had people tell me that I have hit the end and that I was not going to progress anymore, or that I was just a drunk or a piece of shit mother or a piece of shit wife or whatever that looked like, I had to find that strength within myself to say, fuck you, watch me rise. You are a powerful person. And the saddest thing is to let that go to waste. You may not know what that powerhouse is inside you, but drinking and or using drugs only numbs that power. The best thing to do is to find it in yourself, to love yourself enough to put it down and ask for help. That's the only time the magic happens, is when you can humble yourself and reach out a hand and let somebody reach back and help you. It's not easy. It's by all means not easy. But the life I have today is so beyond beautiful. My kids, they don't flinch when I go to hug them. They ask me for advice, genuinely knowing that I just love them and I'm going to meet them where they're at. I have a husband that knows that no matter what hard times comes up, that I've got his back. And it's not for selfish reasons. It's because I genuinely can love him because I love me.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Say the last thing you just said again. The very last thing you just said.
I love me.
That's where
I
it's
can
at,
love
right?
others because I love me.
And your husband and your kids can love you, because it's my position that we can only be loved by others as much as we love ourselves.
Yep. Absolutely.
So self-love, you would agree, is, I think, the number one thing we teach here at Beacon Recovery.
Right.
Right?
And who knows, like maybe that probation officer that's arresting you, you'll end up working with one day.
Whoa. Hold on. Working with, or, because if my memory serves, that probation officer, Clay, who arrested you, didn't you end up being his boss?
I did.
How fun was that?
I mean, we had a good laugh. We had good times working together, and man, the progression of that relationship has been nothing but a blessing for me, because he's still my friend today.
He loves you. And he has watched you go from that to this. And I think he believed in you the entire time.
Yeah.
Right? Even when he was arresting you, he saw, he must have.
Yeah.
Right? But isn't that the same for everybody? In other words, when we're in that place where a probation officer is putting handcuffs on us and telling us we're recommending you go to prison, there's still potential.
Yeah.
And he recognized that. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And would you agree, and I know you would, that same potential that Clay recognized in you back in the day when you were a piece of shit? I mean, that's what you thought you were.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Right.
Even though he's recommending you go to prison, he still knows that there's the light that's inside of you.
Yeah.
Agreed? So that's what we can end with. Regardless of where you are in your stage of life, you have tremendous value, right? There's something for you to do on this planet, right? Somebody has something in store for you, but you cannot recognize that while you're stuck in your addiction,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
All right. See, Maddy didn't want to do a podcast. It's taken her about, I don't know, 8 or 9 months to agree to do this. Okay, I agree. Okay, I
so
agree.
grandiose.
All right, that was an exaggeration, but it's taken you a minute to get here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But see, it wasn't so bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Lee. You want to turn that one off?